The darkness of space was quiet, but the silence did not mean safety. Far beyond Earth, at the edge of human-controlled territory, a small listening station floated like a lonely watchman. It picked up signals, monitored strange activities, and sent warnings back to command. Most days, the crew complained of boredom. But tonight, boredom ended. A strange fleet appeared on the edge of their sensors. The ships were sharp, massive, and alive with strange energy. They were not human ships. Their design was alien: curved armor, long spines that pulsed with blue light, and weapons that glowed like fire trapped in metal. The station crew froze as they realized what they were looking at. This was not a scouting group. This was an invasion force. The alarm echoed inside the small outpost. The commander, a middle-aged officer with tired eyes, rushed to the control panel. He stared at the incoming signals, his throat dry. Hundreds of alien warships were crossing into human space. Their purpose was clear: war. "They are moving fast," whispered one technician. "Faster than anything we've ever seen." The commander didn't answer. He simply sent one final message toward Earth, a desperate warning: humanity is not safe. "They are coming." Moments later, the listening post was erased. A single beam of alien energy tore through the station, cutting it apart like paper. Silence returned, but it was the silence of death. The invaders believed humanity was weak. To them, Earth was a young race, small and fragile, only recently stepping into the stars. The aliens had fought greater enemies before. They had broken empires and crushed civilizations that were older, richer, and stronger than mankind. To them, humans were nothing but prey. On Earth, the warning reached late at night. Screens lit up across command centers, military bases, and orbital stations. The message was brief but terrifying. The generals sat in silence as the words repeated: "They are coming." The alien fleet did not waste time. They burned through human colonies one after another. Small mining stations were turned to dust. Civilian ships were hunted down like insects. Panic spread through the outer colonies as billions realized the enemy was merciless. No surrender was accepted. No survivors were left. But humanity was not as weak as the aliens believed. Deep inside Earth's defense network, plans were already moving. Hidden shipyards, secret projects, and weapons that had never been revealed were finally prepared for use. Humanity had been underestimated before, and every time, it had learned to adapt. The aliens wanted fear. Instead, they would find vengeance. Among the many projects hidden from public eyes was something whispered about only in the highest levels of command. A fleet, not for exploration, not for defense, but for retribution. It was called the Vengeance Armada. While humanity expanded into the stars, its leaders knew enemies would come. Quietly, in secret, they built warships bigger than anything in history. These ships were not meant to patrol or protect colonies. They were forged for war, for one purpose only: to make anyone who dared attack humanity regret their choice. But the Armada was not yet ready. Its construction was hidden in asteroid fields, under the shadows of gas giants, away from the eyes of allies and enemies alike. Only a handful of commanders knew it existed. And now, with the alien threat burning across human space, the time had come to unleash it. The first alien assault struck Mars. Human fleets stationed there tried to resist, but the enemy was too powerful. Their technology cut through human shields, their weapons outmatched every known defense. In less than 6 hours, Mars' orbit was filled with wreckage. The survivors sent desperate cries for help, but most signals were lost in static. News spread across Earth. Fear touched every home. Families packed underground shelters, governments declared emergencies, and soldiers prepared for what felt like the end of days. But in the darkness, in hidden shipyards, the Vengeance Armada awakened. One by one, enormous warships powered up. Their cores glowed with energy that shook the ground. Massive cannons slid into position. Armor plating thicker than city walls locked into place. These ships were not elegant like the alien vessels, they were brutal, sharp and unstoppable. They were not designed to explore. They were designed to kill. The men and women who would crew them had been waiting for years. Trained in silence, living in secrecy, they were warriors forged for this very moment. Their eyes burned with fury as they boarded the ships. They had seen the alien attacks. They had lost friends, families, and homes. Now they wanted revenge. The alien invaders celebrated their victories, believing Earth was already broken. They mocked the weakness of humans, laughing at their fragile fleets. They did not know what was coming. Far from Earth, in the shadow of a silent moon, the Vengeance Armada formed up. Dozens of massive warships aligned into formation, their engines igniting with blinding light. For the first time, the universe would see humanity's true power. And this time, humanity would not fight for survival. They would fight for vengeance. The alien fleet moved through human space like a storm. Colony after colony fell. Their commanders did not waste time with negotiations. They only demanded silence and obedience, and when humans refused, they destroyed everything. Entire cities burned under alien fire, and black smoke covered the skies of once thriving worlds. But not all humans were ready to surrender. Even as the aliens advanced, resistance groups began to rise. Civilians grabbed weapons, soldiers formed defensive lines, and pilots launched their ships even when they knew they could not win. Their courage was real, but their strength was too small. Against the alien war machines, they were like sparks against a raging fire. On Earth, leaders gathered in the largest underground war room ever built. The air was heavy with tension. Generals, admirals, and politicians sat around a glowing map of the solar system. Red marks spread across it, signs of destruction, worlds already lost. The enemy was pushing closer every hour. They will reach Earth in days, one general said quietly. If we do not act now, humanity is finished. But another voice, colder and stronger, replied, "No, humanity is not finished. The time has come to reveal what we have hidden." Those words changed the atmosphere in the room. Everyone knew what he meant. The Vengeance Armada. Across the hidden shipyards, the Armada prepared. Thousands of engineers worked without sleep. They ran power through the engines, tested weapons, and loaded supplies. Inside the warships, soldiers trained in silence, their hearts hard with rage. They had seen the destruction. Many had lost families on the colonies. They wanted blood. One of the largest ships was the Iron Will, a vessel so massive it could carry entire cities on its decks. Its captain, Admiral Kalen, stood on the command bridge. He was a tall man, scarred from past wars, his voice steady but full of fire. He watched as the crew filled their stations, every man and woman silent, waiting for his words. "Listen well," Kalen began. His voice carried across the speakers of the ship. "The enemy thinks we are weak. They think we will kneel. They have burned our homes, slaughtered our people, and mocked our survival. But they have made one mistake. They woke the vengeance of humanity." The crew erupted in a roar of approval. The sound echoed through the ship like thunder. Every soldier felt the weight of his words. The Armada launched. Engines ignited, shaking space with their power. Warships left the hidden stations, their dark armor reflecting starlight. From the surface of Earth, people looked to the sky and saw the glow of engines leaving orbit. For the first time in weeks, hope returned. Children pointed upward, families cheered, and soldiers saluted as the Armada rose into the black. The alien fleet did not notice at first. They were busy finishing their conquest of the colonies. Their commanders laughed at the weak resistance. But then, scanners picked up movement, something massive, something powerful, moving from the shadows. When the first human Armada ship appeared, the aliens hesitated. It was larger than any vessel they had seen from humans before. Then another appeared. And another. Dozens of warships formed into deadly formation, their weapons glowing with fury. The alien commander scoffed. "More prey," he growled. "Destroy them." But the first battle did not go as he expected. The Armada unleashed fire. Cannons designed in secret tore through alien shields. Missiles streaked through space, striking enemy hulls with devastating force. Human warships did not fight with fragile speed, they fought with raw strength. Every blast shook the enemy lines, and for the first time, the aliens felt fear. Admiral Kalen stood firm on the bridge of the Iron Will, giving sharp commands. Hold the line. Break their flank. Make them bleed. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned with fury. The alien fleet answered with their own power. Beams of energy cut across the battlefield, striking several human ships. Explosions lit the void, and debris scattered into the stars. The Armada did not stop. They advanced, trading ship for ship, but refusing to break. On Earth, the battle streamed across hidden channels. Families, soldiers, and leaders watched with wide eyes. For the first time, they saw the Armada in action. And they saw something else. The aliens were not invincible. As the fight dragged on, one alien dreadnought moved forward. It was a monster of steel and fire, larger than even the Iron Will. Its weapons glowed like suns, ready to erase the human flagship. The crew of the Iron Will held their breath as alarms screamed. But Admiral Kalen did not flinch. All power to forward guns, he ordered. Aim for its heart. Fire everything. The warship unleashed a storm. Massive cannons roared, missiles streaked forward, and beams of energy cut through the black. The alien dreadnought shook under the assault. Its shields flickered, its armor split. Then, with a final explosion, it tore apart in a blast of fire and light. The crew of the Iron Will cheered, and across Earth, millions shouted in joy. For the first time, humanity had destroyed one of the alien giants. But the battle was not over. The alien commander watched the defeat with burning rage. He had underestimated the humans, and now he would unleash the full force of his fleet. The Armada stood ready. The fight for humanity's future had only begun. The battlefield around Mars burned with wreckage. Human ships and alien warships drifted as broken skeletons in the void. Fires still raged on some of the shattered hulls, casting red and orange light across the black. But among the ruins, the Vengeance Armada held formation, engines glowing bright, weapons still hot from the fight. The victory was small but powerful. Humanity had struck down one of the alien dreadnoughts, something no other civilization had achieved. But even as cheers filled the comms, Admiral Kalen's face stayed grim. He knew the truth: the enemy still had more ships, more firepower, and more reinforcements waiting. Damage report, he ordered. 5 of our cruisers destroyed. 7 heavily damaged. Casualties in the thousands, the officer replied. His voice shook, but he forced himself to continue. But, sir, the people are watching. The broadcasts are spreading. They know we can fight back. Kalen nodded slowly. The loss was heavy, but the effect was priceless. The universe now saw that humanity was not weak prey. Humanity could fight. Humanity could kill. Across the alien fleet, silence lingered. Their commanders had expected an easy conquest. Instead, they had seen their strongest warship destroyed. The alien leader, a massive creature with dark scaled skin and burning yellow eyes, slammed his claws against the command table. "These humans," he growled, his voice shaking the chamber, "are not what we thought. But it does not matter. We will burn their homeworld. We will leave nothing." Orders spread across the alien ships. Their fleet changed formation, preparing for the next attack. They would not underestimate the humans again. Meanwhile, back on Earth, hope returned like fire spreading through dry wood. For weeks, the people had lived in fear, hiding in shelters, praying for survival. Now, across the cities, screens replayed the destruction of the alien dreadnought. Crowds cheered. Children shouted in joy. Soldiers raised their weapons in salute. Humanity was not broken. But hope alone would not win the war. In the underground war room, the leaders studied the battle reports. One general spoke with a grim face. "Admiral Kalen can hold them, but only for so long. We must prepare Earth itself. If the enemy breaks through, our planet will be their final target. Another commander leaned forward. The Armada can win, but it cannot fight forever. We must strike deeper. We must show the enemy their own weakness. The words hung heavy in the air. Everyone knew what it meant. Humanity could not just defend. They had to attack. Far away, aboard the Iron Will, Kalen gathered his officers. The map of the system glowed before them, showing the alien fleet regrouping for another strike. His voice was steady, carrying across the war room. They are coming again. Stronger, faster, more prepared. They want to crush us before we can rise. But they do not know our strength. They do not understand our fire. We will hold them here, but not forever. Soon, we must carry this war into their blood. His officers nodded, silent but fierce. The next battle began without warning. The alien fleet surged forward, weapons blazing. Their beams cut across space, slamming into human shields. 2 cruisers exploded instantly, fire consuming them before their crews could escape. The Armada answered with fury. Cannons roared, missiles streaked, and railguns fired slugs the size of buildings. The black sky lit up with explosions. Every ship shook as the clash grew more violent. Kalen gripped the edge of his chair. Hold the line. Do not break. The aliens pressed harder. They targeted the human carriers, hoping to cripple the fighters that swarmed across the field. One carrier's hull cracked, spilling debris and bodies into the void. But before the aliens could finish it, 3 human destroyers rushed forward, sacrificing themselves to shield the wounded ship. Their last act tore a hole in the enemy's flank. From Earth, billions watched. The battle streamed on every channel, every screen. Families held each other close as they saw ships explode. Children cried when human cruisers broke apart. But when alien ships fell, when their glowing hulls shattered into dust, the people screamed in triumph. Every victory fed their courage. Every loss deepened their rage. Admiral Kalen knew the truth. The people needed this. The Armada was not just a weapon. It was a symbol. Humanity had to see its warriors stand, even if the cost was heavy. As the battle raged, Kalen's eyes fell on something strange. His sensors picked up a massive signature moving behind the alien fleet. It was bigger than the dreadnought they had already destroyed. Bigger than anything humans had faced. His officer's face went pale. Admiral, that thing is the size of a small moon. The alien supership emerged from the darkness. Its hull stretched for kilometers, bristling with weapons. A low hum spread across the battlefield as its cannons powered up. The air itself seemed to shiver as it aimed. Kalen's jaw tightened. So, they bring their god to the field. The alien leader's voice echoed across the channels, cruel and mocking. Humans, this is your end. Your defiance dies here. The crew of the Iron Will stood silent, their faces pale but their eyes burning. Fear was real, but so was anger. Kalen rose to his feet, his voice thunderous. Then let us show them what humanity truly is. Ready, all guns. We do not bow. We do not kneel. We fight. The Armada roared forward, engines burning bright. The alien supership fired its first blast, a beam of pure energy that tore through the black. It struck a human battleship, splitting it in 2. The crew never had time to scream. But the Armada did not stop. Missiles, cannons, and beams all fired at once, striking the monster ship. Explosions flared across its surface, tearing pieces of armor away. The Battle of Giants had begun, and the future of humanity balanced on the edge of fire. The battlefield trembled under the shadow of the alien supership. It was a monster of war, larger than anything humanity had ever imagined. Its weapons glowed like suns, its armor thicker than mountains. It moved slowly, but every strike it made was like a hammer falling from the heavens. The Armada fought with fury, but the cost was heavy. Each blast from the alien giant tore through human lines. Battleships cracked, destroyers split apart, and cruisers vanished in explosions of fire. The void filled with wreckage and screams cut short by silence. On the Iron Will, Admiral Kalen stood tall, refusing to bend. His officers worked furiously, shouting reports, calling out targets, rerouting power. Sparks flew from broken consoles, alarms screamed, but the ship held together. Direct all fire at its weak points, Kalen ordered. Its weapons are strong, but its size is its weakness. We bleed it until it falls. The Armada obeyed. Dozens of warships turned their guns on the supership. Railguns pounded its armor, missiles hammered its flanks, beams carved across its hull. Explosions bloomed like firestorms along its surface, tearing away sections of steel. But the alien monster did not fall. It answered with rage. Another blast tore from its central cannon, striking a human carrier. The explosion lit up the battlefield, and hundreds of fighters were lost in a single instant. Cries of anger filled the comms, but the pilots that remained dove forward with vengeance. Small ships streaked around the alien giant, firing torpedoes, launching missiles, scratching and cutting wherever they could. One fighter pilot, a young woman named Elira, flew at the front. Her ship was battered, her shields flickering, but her eyes burned with fury. She had lost her brother in the first wave of attacks on the colonies. Now, she wanted revenge. She pushed her fighter through the chaos, weaving between enemy fire. Her torpedoes slammed into the supership's vent systems, causing bursts of fire along its side. She pulled away just in time as a beam nearly sliced her ship in half. The alien commander inside the monster vessel growled in frustration. These humans are insects, yet they bite harder than we expected. On Earth, the people watched with breathless silence. The supership filled their screens, a black mountain of death moving against their warriors. Many felt despair, but when they saw the Armada fighting back, when they saw human fighters swarm the monster like wolves against a bear, hope refused to die. In the underground war room, a general slammed his fist on the table. We must give Kalen more support. He cannot face that monster alone. Another leader shook her head. Every ship we can send is already committed. The Armada is our last shield. But one scientist, quiet until now, spoke. His voice was sharp, his eyes wide. There is another way. We cannot outgun that ship, but perhaps we can outthink it. The room turned to him. He explained quickly, the alien supership's size was its strength, but also its weakness. Its energy core was massive, required to power its weapons. If that core was forced into overload, the ship would tear itself apart. But to do it, someone would have to get close. Too close. The leaders fell silent. Everyone understood what it meant. It would be a suicide mission. Back on the Iron Will, Kalen received the plan. He stared at the transmission, then closed his eyes for a long moment. Finally, he said, "So be it." He turned to his crew. "Prepare a strike team. We have one chance to end this monster before it destroys us all." Volunteers poured in instantly. Pilots, Marines, engineers, all willing to give their lives. Kalen knew he could not send them all. He needed only the best. And among them was Elira, the fighter pilot who had already scarred the beast. "You know what this mission means," Kalen told her. His voice was quiet, heavy. She saluted. "I know, sir. My brother is gone. My family is gone. If my life can save Earth, then I give it freely." Kalen looked at her with respect. "Then go. And make them fear us." The strike team launched in small, fast ships. They dove through the battlefield, weaving through explosions, dodging enemy fire. Alien fighters swarmed to stop them, but the Armada opened covering fire, tearing paths for them to slip through. The supership loomed larger and larger, its surface covered in glowing scars from the Armada's attack. The strike team aimed for a vent system near the ship's core, a weak point identified by stolen scans. Alien defenses opened fire. The void lit up with deadly beams and missiles. One by one, the strike team fell, ships vanishing in bursts of flame. But Elira pressed forward, her teeth clenched, her hands steady on the controls. "Almost there," she whispered. Her ship dove through a narrow opening, alarms screaming as enemy fire struck her wings. She forced her fighter into the vent system, scraping against the walls, sparks flying. The enemy could not follow her inside. She was alone. Behind her, only wreckage remained. She was the last survivor of the strike team. Her scanners showed the glowing heart of the alien ship, the massive energy core pulsing with power. It was like a sun trapped in steel. Her hands shook, but her voice was steady. For Earth. For humanity. She armed her final torpedoes. The alarms on her ship screamed louder, warning her of overload, of no return. Outside, Admiral Kalen watched the supership grow brighter, energy surging across its hull. His jaw clenched. She's going to do it. The battlefield froze as the first explosion erupted deep inside the alien monster. Then, another. Then, another. The ship shuddered, its lights flickering. And then, with a soundless scream, the alien supership exploded. The fireball lit the void brighter than the sun. Human ships rocked under the shockwave. Alien vessels scattered in panic. The monster was gone, destroyed by the courage of one human. Silence followed. Then, from Earth to the edges of the colonies, humanity roared in triumph. For the first time in the war, the enemy had not just been resisted. They had been defeated. The fire of the alien supership still glowed in the void, its wreckage spreading like burning ash across the stars. For a moment, the battlefield was silent. Human soldiers stared in disbelief, their voices caught in their throats. Then, as the realization sank in, the cheers began. Across the Armada, across Earth, across every surviving colony, voices rose in unison. Humanity had done the impossible. The monster was dead. The aliens, who thought themselves gods of war, had been struck down by the courage of one human pilot. Admiral Kalen stood on the bridge of the Iron Will, his face hard, but his heart heavy. He knew her name, Elira. He would never forget it. Her sacrifice was not just a victory, it was a symbol. A single human had destroyed a ship larger than mountains. Humanity would carry her story like fire in the dark. But the war was not over. On the other side of the battlefield, the alien fleet staggered. Their commanders roared in fury, their pride shattered. They had never suffered such humiliation. One of their most powerful warships, destroyed by a race they called weak. The alien leader slammed his claws into the command table, cracking it. His voice thundered across his ships. Enough games. Enough weakness. They will pay for this insult with rivers of blood. Orders spread quickly. The aliens regrouped, their formations tightening, their weapons glowing brighter. They would not retreat. Instead, they prepared something darker. Something they had reserved for the strongest enemies they had ever faced. The Armada detected the changes immediately. Strange energy readings spread through the alien fleet. Human scanners struggled to understand, the signals twisting and shifting like shadows in fire. Kalen frowned as he studied the data. They are preparing something new, he muttered. Something we have not seen before. The first wave struck minutes later. Alien ships launched weapons unlike anything humanity had faced. Black spheres tore across space, pulsing with energy. When they struck, they did not explode like normal missiles. Instead, they ripped apart shields, draining power, leaving human ships blind and helpless. One destroyer was caught in the blast. Its lights went dark, its engines silent. In moments, alien cannons shredded it to pieces. Kalen's jaw tightened. They adapt. They learn. Just as we do. The battle became chaos again. Human ships fired back with everything they had, but the new alien weapons spread like poison. Shields flickered and collapsed. Engines failed. Even the iron will shuddered under the pressure. On Earth, the people watching felt their hope tremble. The fire of victory dimmed as they saw more human ships fall. Can we really win? Some whispered. Fear returned like a shadow over their hearts. But Kalen did not bend. His voice thundered across the Armada's comms. Listen to me. They think we will break. They think we will kneel. But look around you. Look at the stars burning with our fire. We destroyed their monster. We will destroy the rest. Humanity does not bow. Humanity does not kneel. We fight. His words echoed through the fleets, filling weary hearts with strength. The Armada surged again, counterattacking with brutal force. Human missiles slammed into alien cruisers, railguns punched through their armor, and fighters swarmed their flanks like angry wasps. Still, Kalen knew this was only survival. Humanity could not win by defending forever. Every battle drained their ships, their people, their will. If the enemy kept sending more fleets, Earth would eventually fall. That night, as the smoke of war drifted over Mars' orbit, Kalen met with his officers. The war table glowed with red markers, showing alien fleets still advancing deeper into human space. The silence was heavy until Kalen spoke. We cannot fight this war only on our soil. If we wait, they will bring more monsters, more weapons, more fleets. Earth will burn. The colonies will burn. The only way forward is vengeance. His officers looked at him with wide eyes. One finally whispered, "You mean, take the war to them?" Kalen's gaze hardened. Yes. Strike into their space. Find their heart. Break it. It was madness. Humanity had never dared such a move. The alien empire stretched across countless systems, ancient and vast. But Kalen's words carried weight. They had already done the impossible once. They could do it again. The plan spread through the Armada. The soldiers whispered of it, their voices fierce. For every family they had lost, for every colony destroyed, they wanted retribution. They wanted to carry fire into the enemy's own skies. On Earth, when the leaders heard Kalen's decision, debate erupted. Some feared it was too dangerous, that attacking the alien home systems would invite annihilation. But others understood the truth. If they waited, humanity would die slowly. If they struck, at least they had a chance to live, and to win. The people chose vengeance. The Armada gathered, reforging itself after the brutal battle. New weapons were loaded, repairs made, soldiers trained harder than ever. The engineers brought out projects still hidden in silence, experimental weapons, faster drives, stronger armor. Humanity's true strength was no longer hidden. It was awake. Kalen sent one final message across Earth and the colonies. His voice was cold and sharp, filled with fire. They thought us weak. They thought us prey. But we are the hunters now. We will not wait for them to burn us. We will burn them. This is no longer only a war for survival. This is a war for vengeance. The cheers echoed across the world, across every surviving ship, across every soul. Humanity was ready. The Vengeance Armada turned its engines toward the alien stars. And for the first time in history, humanity was not defending its home. Humanity was on the march. The engines of the Vengeance Armada roared as the fleet crossed the edge of human space. For the first time, humanity was not running, not defending. They were invading. The black sea of stars stretched before them, cold and endless, and beyond it lay the heart of the enemy. On the bridge of the Iron Will, Admiral Kalen stood like a statue. His eyes were locked on the forward screen, showing the Armada's formation stretched across the void. Dozens of massive battleships, cruisers, and carriers moved together, their hulls shining like blades in the dark. Behind them trailed the smaller escorts and supply ships, silent but determined. "Status?" Kalen asked. "All ships holding formation, Admiral," his officer replied. "Scanners clear, for now." Those last two words carried weight. Everyone knew the enemy was waiting. Humanity had struck a wound into their pride. The destruction of their supership could not go unanswered. Somewhere in the dark, the aliens prepared. The Armada pressed forward, jumping system by system. Abandoned colonies passed in silence, ruins floating in orbit, burned-out stations drifting like corpses. The enemy had left nothing behind but ash. Each sight hardened the hearts of the soldiers. Every ruin reminded them why they fought. Finally, the first ambush came. The Armada entered a system with 2 suns, their fire lighting up a dozen rocky planets. At first, the scanners showed nothing unusual. Then the space around them shimmered. Dozens, no, hundreds, of alien warships uncloaked, their hulls glowing with energy. "Contact!" the officer shouted. "Enemy fleet closing in." Kalen's voice cut through the panic. "Hold formation. Do not scatter. Make them come to us." The alien fleet surged forward, their ships firing beams and missiles. The void lit up in blinding flashes. A dozen human ships were struck in the first volley, their hulls torn apart. But the Armada did not retreat. "Return fire!" Kalen roared. The human warships answered with fury. Cannons thundered, missiles streaked through space, and railguns fired slugs that ripped into alien hulls. The blackness between the suns turned into a storm of fire. The aliens fought with cunning. They swarmed the Armada, attacking from every angle, cutting into its flanks. But humanity had trained for this. The Armada's formation was tight, its ships covering each other, their firepower concentrated. For every human vessel lost, 3 alien ships were destroyed. On one of the smaller cruisers, a young captain named Eric shouted orders as his ship shook under enemy fire. His crew was terrified, but his voice was steady. "Do not falter. Do not give them an inch. If we fall, Earth falls." His words burned away fear, and his crew fought with renewed strength. Across the battlefield, fighter squadrons dove between enemy ships, weaving through fire, launching torpedoes into their weak spots. The alien formation began to break. Their commanders, shocked by the ferocity of the humans, pulled back. But Kalen did not let them escape. "Press forward. Break them completely. Let them carry our message back to their masters." The Armada surged, hammering the retreating aliens until the battlefield was littered with wreckage. The ambush had failed. Humanity had won. The soldiers cheered, their voices echoing across the comms. But Kalen's face remained grim. This was only the beginning. The enemy had tested them. Next time, it would be worse. When the Armada regrouped, the officers gathered around the glowing war table. Maps showed the alien empire spreading across the stars, system after system marked in red. "We are deep in their territory now," one officer said. "The next battle will not be an ambush. It will be a war front." Kalen studied the map. His finger tapped a system near the heart of the enemy empire, a star world known for its shipyards, where alien fleets were forged. "If we strike here," he said slowly, "we cut off their claws. Without their shipyards, they cannot replace their losses. We must destroy it." The officers exchanged glances. It was bold, dangerous, but possible. Preparations began at once. Engineers worked day and night, patching ships, reloading weapons, strengthening shields. Soldiers sharpened their blades, cleaned their rifles, checked their armor. Pilots studied enemy patterns, ready to throw themselves into the fire again. But the enemy was not blind. In the Alien War Council, their leader glared at the glowing map of human movements. His claws dug into the table. "These humans dare enter our space," he hissed. "They dare to challenge us in our own domain. Very well. We will show them the wrath of gods." Behind him, a new project was being prepared. Dark ships unlike the others, powered by forbidden technology. Weapons so devastating, even their own kind feared them. The aliens had held them back for centuries, unwilling to unleash such destruction. But against humanity, against this insult, they would use everything. Back aboard the Iron Will, Kalen stood at the viewing deck, staring at the stars. His thoughts drifted to Alira, to the thousands already lost, to the billions on Earth counting on him. His reflection in the glass was hard, weathered, but his eyes still burned with fire. He whispered to himself, "They thought us weak. They thought us broken. But we will not stop. We will not rest. Not until their skies burn as ours did. The Armada's engines ignited again, pushing deeper into enemy territory. The soldiers were tired, wounded, but their resolve only grew stronger. Each battle made them fiercer. Each loss made them hungrier for vengeance. In the distance, beyond the stars, the alien empire gathered its darkest weapons. The next clash would not be survival. It would be annihilation. And only one side would remain. The Vengeance Armada reached the alien shipyard system. Dozens of moons circled a burning red star, each moon covered with factories and war docks. It was the heart of the enemy's power. Waiting for them was the largest fleet humanity had ever seen. Thousands of alien ships filled the system, their weapons glowing, their engines burning bright. At the center stood the enemy's ultimate weapon, a black warship the size of a city, pulsing with forbidden energy. Admiral Kalen looked at the screen. His crew was silent, every soldier holding their breath. Then his voice rang clear. Today, we finish this. For Earth. For every world they burned. Forward. The Armada charged. Space exploded with fire. Missiles, beams, and railguns tore across the dark. Human ships fell, but alien ships fell faster. Squadrons of fighters weaved into the docks, blasting the shipyards apart. The black warship advanced, unleashing a weapon that ripped through 3 battleships in a single blast. Fear swept through the fleet. But Kalen did not retreat. He drove the iron will straight at the monster ship. All power to engines. Get me close. The crew obeyed, even knowing what it meant. The iron will cut through the chaos, shields burning, hull tearing. At point-blank range, Kalen gave his last order. Fire everything. The ship unleashed its full arsenal. Torpedoes, cannons, plasma, every weapon slammed into the alien giant. Explosions tore across its hull. But it was not enough. The alien ship still lived. Kalen stood tall. Then we give more. He triggered the overload. The iron will became a star of fire, ramming into the black warship. The explosion lit up the system. The alien flagship cracked apart, its forbidden core imploding. The shockwave tore through the shipyards. One by one, alien ships faltered, broken without their command. The Armada, bloodied but unbroken, finished the fight. The shipyards burned. The alien fleet scattered. Silence returned to the stars. News spread across the galaxy. Humanity had not only survived, but struck down the enemy in their own heartland. What was meant to be their destruction had become their victory. On Earth, the people looked to the skies with pride. They were no longer the weak, no longer prey. They had proved it to the galaxy. Humanity would endure. Humanity would fight. Humanity would win. And the name of the Vengeance Armada would never be forgotten.